Hello and welcome to the Tees Valley Sport Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Reid, and on today's show, we have Victoria. Victoria is our place-based officer for Hartlepool. Victoria, welcome to the show.
Hello, Danny. I'm super excited to be here.
The most enthusiastic welcome we've definitely had so far on the Meet the Team show. So, Victoria, we're going to jump straight into it. I'm really curious because before the show, you said you'd been here for quite some time. So please, Victoria, can you tell us the story about how you joined TVS and how it's evolved to the role that you're in now?
Wow. Yeah, it was quite scary, actually, when you asked how long I've been here and actually counted the years. And it's 16 years that I've been here now, which is, yeah, quite shocking, really. I'd feel really old now. So my journey was quite an interesting one, actually. So I was doing a sport management degree at Northumbria University, and within the second year of university we had to do a 8-week work placement, and all me kind of student colleagues wanted to go to all the glitzy places and the big premiership sport clubs in the area. And I thought, you know what, no, I want real kind of practical experience and something that is more realistic in terms of becoming employed at the end of the degree. So I had not heard at the time, they were called County Sports Partnerships, never heard of them before. And I kind of just rang up and I was told to put a letter in of expression of interest. And I come to meet the director at the time and the strategic development officers and explained that I wanted to do an 8-week placement. I was keen on kind of learning a variety of different roles within the organisation, and they signed me up straight away. And obviously I think historically they took on students from Teesside for placements in various different roles, but I don't think they'd ever took anyone on from Northumbria. I kind of arrived and was given a broad range of tasks to do, and quite quickly I was given some big events to organise. So as part of my week placement, I actually organised the first North East Street Games event.
Oh, wow.
Which was very, very, it was large scale. It incorporated a range of different activities. It was obviously, attended by North East organisations, and that was about kind of engaging young people who weren't really very active. And it was more engaging them in the non-sporty traditional ways. Right,
so more activity than everyday sport.
Yeah. I do remember we had the army involved, the fire brigade involved. Wow. So it was very, very different approach. But obviously, as a university student, I was given quite a lot of responsibility. And I kind of, to be honest, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I nailed it. And off the
I love that. I love it. The modesty is brilliant.
But off the back of that, and I think what was really, that was kind of really key for me, because at the end of the 8 weeks, it was coming up to the summer for the university. When I say the summer, it's kind of May time, really. And they offered me a summer contract, full-time. So obviously I jumped at that. That was kind of netball development officer for the Tees Valley. So it was working with England netball, but working on a county basis. Loved that. Did a load of other projects as well within that. And then when it come back to university for me last year, they didn't want to lose me. So they basically offered me a part-time job, which was a combination of a variety of different roles. So I kind of did that within my university, with my university degree. But I ended up doing more work for kind of TVS. I think it worked out 3 days a week at TVS and 2 days a week at uni. And for me, I just saw that was kind of, alongside my degree, absolutely, key to actually getting a degree in sports development, which was at the time quite a thriving sector. There was a lot of funding there, and there was a lot of job opportunities. I met a lot of different partners in the local authority, did a lot of work with the national governing bodies at times, did a lot of work with the sports colleges at the time. It was great, absolutely loved it. And then at the end of me degree, there was a job opportunity that actually come up with Teesside University, which was working with the Sport and Rec team here. And it was a North East project with the 5 North East universities. It was called the Sunny Project. Sport Universities, North East England.
Wow.
And it was an externally funded project. And there was one of these roles placed within each of the 5 universities. And basically the whole point of the project was enhancing students' employability through sports volunteering. So I applied for that and I got the job. So I actually did work for a year at the university before then actually coming back to Tees Valley Sport when another job opportunity came up, which was coach development manager, which was work with UK coaching.
Wow. So from an 8-week small placement, something pretty special came about.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think going into the role with Teesside University and my path, I was kind of very much able to relate to students that I was working with at the university. It was absolutely fantastic time because I was able to almost support people where I'd been in that same kind of journey. And I run into students now who I'd worked with on that kind of volunteering project who were in very high jobs. There's one who's actually the director of Middlesbrough Community Foundation.
Wow.
There's a strength and conditioning coach for a Premiership football club. There's a lot of really talented students that kind of come off the back of it, and my whole message around that was actually, alongside your degree, it is absolutely vital that you get real life practical experience to make yourself as employable as possible, because it was very competitive.
So just quickly touching on that, do you think things have changed recently or since you left university, how things look employability wise for students?
I think sports development, I don't think there's as many career opportunities these days. I think with the changes in policy kind of at a national level, it is much more driven towards using sport and physical activity for health benefits and wider social outcomes rather than the traditional sport development priorities that there was kind of back in the early days.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of also shows within national governing body structures. So if you look at when I'm going kind of back talking about these days, national governing bodies, they were kind of thriving entities where you would have really local officers. So you'd maybe have like a Tees Valley officer. We're now working with local national governing bodies, which we don't that's not our core area of work anymore. But they tend to be kind of regional officers or north of the country officers. So it's just a change it is a change in landscape.
Yeah, so you've really seen it change from being quite sports orientated to now a lot more like physical activity kind of based movements rather than just pure sports.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my work, my core work when I was coach development manager, that was around national governing bodies, supporting their programmes, getting more people active in sports clubs. Now, I don't really have a lot to do with sports clubs. It's much more around community and voluntary sector, the health sector, primary care. Very, very different, the type of partners that I now engage with.
Wow, it really does sound very different to when you started out to where you are now. So we know where you started, we know where you are now, but Victoria, who is Victoria outside of work? What does Victoria like to do?
So Victoria is a mum of 3 children. So eldest is 10. I've got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old as well. And that, to be fair, has had in terms of, talking about career and things, had a significant impact on my career. So when my son was born 10 years ago, I kind of went down to part-time and kind of really was mum as well. Obviously having me 2 other daughters as well. It's very difficult managing a career and 3 children. But now I have got quite a good balance on that, and I'm actually wanting to, I feel like I can have it all. I can be a brilliant mum and also have a brilliant career, and that's now what I'm kind of striving for. I was kind of, my 2 daughters, there's only 12 months apart, so I was actually back-to-back maternity for 2 years. And I've kind of come back with a whole new passion, drive, determination, and being able to kind of juggle it all. Obviously, my kids are my life. My son's a brilliant footballer, very kind of active. My daughter's a total polar opposites. One's going to be a dancer, one's probably going to be a rugby player.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But obviously, as because I'm so passionate about being active and living healthy lifestyles, that's what I implement in my kids as well. My kind of sport and physical activity life has evolved. So I was kind of previously in traditional sports, netball, horse riding. Actually went to the pre-Olympics in Athens with with the GB eventing team. That was like when I was like 18. But now it's very much kind of low level activity, yoga, walking. I probably do activity for more social outcomes than the sporting outcomes that what used to be my driver and my motivation. I'm much more family orientated as well.
Love that. So have you seen much change in the landscape since you joined Tees Valley Sport regarding physical activity as a general, like an attitude within the public towards how sport's looked at and physical activity?
I think with the new role that I do, so I come back off 2 years maternity leave, and I come back, it was post-COVID, so I was on maternity leave during COVID. I come back and I noticed, obviously a 2-year kind of break, a massive shift in, I guess, physical activity, and obviously driven from national agendas and national strategies and priorities in terms of the nation's health and obviously how stretched resources are, and people starting to really see physical activity beyond sport. And taking that into my role as place-based officer for Hartlepool, that was one of my really early challenges when I was actually going out and meeting partners. I was meeting partners from new sectors that we'd not really engaged with, we didn't really have a footprint in. And it was redefining what being active was, and there was so much misunderstanding from me going in and thinking, no, yeah, Tees Valley Sport. People perceived me as just a sports coach, and they actually said to me, why would we work with you? Or how can a sports coach help us when we're working with homeless people or working with people with mental health?
Yeah.
And that was a massive barrier. So obviously a lot of work was done in terms of educating people on how physical activity can contribute to wider social agendas. I think things like This Girl Can, National Sport England campaign, has been great in changing people's perceptions on what being active is. I still think there's a lot of work to be done. I think there's a lot of work around kind of messaging, a lot of work around branding, a lot of work to be done around kind of integrating physical activity into different services beyond sport.
Oh, brilliant. That really, it makes total sense. So one of the things that I just want to look at as well is, because your role, you came back from maternity and you said that the landscape had changed quite a lot. So Tees Valley Sport have adopted like a very much a test and learn approach to their working methods. How did you find that approach coming back into the workplace?
Very different to what we historically have done. Historically, we've been very structured around Sport England, top-down kind of programmes, a lot of short-term funding programmes, with very kind of specific outcomes, data-driven. When I come back, I remember a conversation I had, and it was almost like the place-based work is, you've got a blank canvas. We don't know what it's going to look like. We want you to kind of go out and kind of find out the landscape, work with community partners, see what the need is on the ground, see what the provision is. There was no real clear direction. I'm the type of person who thrives off that. I enjoy the challenge of going out and, I was in meetings, I would say, I'm not really sure, where this might lead. I don't know everything. But that actually brought people's barriers down. It was quite an engaging way to kind of build people's trust up in terms of saying, like, I don't know it all. I don't know where this is going to lead to. I don't know if this is going to work. But in the confidence that actually we will learn a lot from doing it this way. It was a very new concept, but one that I kind of, grasped and ran with. And a lot of my work was very new. I was working with partners And I think one of the challenges that I had was actually influencing partners' mindset to also get on that kind of way of working, particularly with the health sector, who understandably have got very strict parameters. They've got very kind of, they're working with people's health at the end of the day. So actually to go to them and want them to work in a test and learn approach where you're saying, let's trial this. We're not quite sure how it's going to work, but that's all the part of the process and learning. It was challenging, but I think some of the projects that we developed, the richness actually come from the learning, not the actual outcome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It really does summarise exactly like the approach of the test and learn, and it's really great that you've embraced it and felt empowered by it. And Vic, so from the 8 weeks to mum to test and learn and changing so many lives over in Hartlepool, I'm really, really excited to catch up with you in a few months, have a chat and see how things are going. But for now, Victoria, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Danny.